Welcome back to the Frizz and the Grizz podcast with your hosts, Trudeau and D.
Hello and welcome back to Frizz and the Grizz. It's your boy Trudeau. Today, Wednesday, not a Tuesday, not a Monday, Wednesday, October 11th. We got a good show for you today. We're going to preview NFL Week 6, talk a little bit about some of the teams that we think are fraudy and potentially underrated in the NFL. Also, our gambling picks, and boy, have we been hot. But first, the man of the hour, D Frizzy Frizz himself. What is good, homie?
What is good? What it do, baby? Great intro, man. I think you're getting better and better at that stuff. I like the setting the table aspect of it. It sounds really good. It's really smooth, man. Good for you.
Feels corny AF, but I'm here for it. At least it sounds professional, man. Yeah, we got a good show for you guys today. Lots of football. Yeah, I forgot to mention we'll talk a little college football as well. D's going to give his inner circle of trust, and we'll explain that later. But I would be remiss to not start by asking my friend D, how was your week, buddy?
Week was good, man, and we apologize for those that are typically watching for us live on Tuesday nights and then listening to us Wednesday mornings. It was your boy's birthday yesterday, so I had to do it right and give the time to the family. Appreciate that. We all getting up there in age, man. It's crazy. But the week was good. You know, we prepped obviously by being able to hang with. We went Halloween shopping for some stuff on the weekend. Then yesterday we were able to eat probably the best meal when it comes to a birthday, man. Crab legs and ribeye. Just incredible meal, man. How was your week?
That's solid. That's a solid ass meal, especially for your birthday. I know you said that you're a crab legs over the lobster person, which respect for that. The Jameis Winston style. I feel you. I hope you.
I think it's more so because I'm in the South now, and like this is how I explained it to my parents too, because like they were like, over lobster, because we, when we had the chance, it was easier to just get lobster up north than it was to get crab legs. But I feel like you can eat crab legs without additional stuff like butter and salt. It just the meat just tastes better. Lobster, you can't really just eat lobster. You need to have butter or you need to have salt on it. Nah, bro, like it's not as tasty if it's just non-buttered lobster. So like I feel like that's what gives crab legs the one up.
Hey, it's potato, your preference. My week was good, man. I'm curious. Are you a fan of apple picking? Yay or nay on apple picking?
Out on gotta phrase this the right way. Out on picking anything. If you think about it that way, apple picking, pumpkin picking, I'm good with that stuff, man. It's just not fun for me. It really isn't. It's not about being anti-fall. Just I'm not a fan of that stuff. Will I go? Yeah, but like, is it gonna be my choice? No.
Hey, well, I feel the same way. I could drag. I'm covering my mouth. I could drag to that shit, but it's fun. The one by our place sells hard ciders when you go there, so like the adults can have a few drinks, make a day of it. But unfortunately, it was closed when we got there, so it was sad day in true household. But good weekend all together. Halloween decorations are up. Right, took the Monday, so we're ready, baby. And I think next week we talked about maybe doing some tier list on Halloween candies and stuff like that. Maybe some movies. And we had a debate. I'm curious your thoughts in the audience. Me and D had a debate. His wife chimed in, and my wife has an opinion as well. Nightmare Before Christmas. We both agree. Not a Halloween movie. That's a Christmas movie.
Yes, definitely. If it's not a Halloween movie, then it's got to be a Christmas movie. It's got it in the title.
It can't be both. It can't be both.
That's all I'm saying. It can't be both.
All right, let's talk some football. Let's preview week 6. It's a rare occasion when we're here on a Wednesday, so why not talk about week coming up instead? D, I don't know where you want to start as far as the previews are concerned. I'll let you start. I'll just say this to just jump off this subject. It's a weird week in football, week 6, and I say that because there's so many games that are point spreads of either a touchdown or greater. So like a lot of probable blowouts in week 6, but what caught your eye?
So I actually have a couple of matchups that are make or break season makers or legacy makers. So like that's why I want. Yeah, it's kind of what I want to talk about because first matchup that I got here is Seattle and Cincinnati. I think the Bengals Seahawks game is huge for that AFC North, obviously for the NFC West. I think it is, with it being the Seahawks. You're talking about two teams that are trying to gain some type of control on the division that they're in. Granted, the 49ers are going to run away with the NFC West, like we understand that, but the Seahawks can be that second tier team. We understand the Rams aren't the Rams that they used to be. They're still edgy. They still fight hard, obviously. Cardinals are nothing. So like the Seahawks are trying to be that second tier, wild card team that can be up there with the 1 and 2 seeds of the NFC with the Eagles and the 49ers, who I think are going to run away with it. But you also bring up the Bengals. And with what happened with the Ravens last week, laying an egg against the Steelers, the Bengals looking really good. This is can this turn their entire season around? Ripping off back to back before their bye, and then they get the bye, then you get Joe on a better ankle, excuse me, or a calf, and like maybe they start rolling weeks 8, 9, and 10.
So we're going to do our picks later. I debated heavily taking the Seahawks +2 or +3 in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is a tough spot because I think this is a huge game for the Bengals, right? They've been kind of dancing around, potentially falling behind in the pack and being left out of playoff contention. I know it's week 6, but you start off 2-4, it's going to be tough sailing. I'm thinking about the Bengals, man. Their 2 wins are pretty bad wins. One against the Cardinals, which I know the Cardinals are scrappy. They won last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then their only other win is a 3-point win at home versus the Rams, in which the defense carried them. I'm worried about the Bengals, and I think this is a huge game. I think this is a good game to pick to start with, right? They definitely looked better than last week. Jamar Chase came to life. Just get the man the ball. But
He's always open. The man said, "Just I'm always fucking open," and he wasn't wrong.
right now for the Bengals, it's like the survive and advance strategy because they need to buy time, as much time as possible for Joe Burrow to be right. Clearly, it's getting better week after week. If they fall behind 2-4, not that they can't come back and make a wild card spot, but we've seen in their own division, it's very competitive. I mean, the Steelers, Browns, Ravens all look very good. It's going to be tough to stack up a bunch of wins against that division. They got to pull it off this week, or it's bad news.
That's the route that I was going. Where I think it's a season shifter for both teams. Not to say that like
By the way, too.
they're good, and I'm not saying that they can't survive if they start the season off 3-2, right? But it's one of those like, can you get over the hump of like, all right, like we think Gino's the guy that's staying there? They're not looking for another quarterback, but like, can he be the guy that leads them to the playoffs? And like, these are those types of wins that you got to get. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I'm going to change my thought in this game. This is a DEFCON 1 must-win game for the Bengals because I just looked ahead. I didn't know who they're playing next week. After
They
this,
got to buy next week, but yeah,
they have the bye. After the bye, back-to-back 49ers away, and then Bills at home.
yeah.
Like, those are 2 very difficult games. I'm not going to say never, but like, you're not going to win both of those games. Likely.
You're just not going to go into that span of games at 2-4 and expecting to just come out 500. That's the way that I would phrase that, because
Yeah.
like you can go in 3-3 and then end that run 4-4, right? Like that's attainable, but you just can't expect to just rip off both wins with how good both of those teams are playing. So yeah, that's why I said this is a season shifter for the Bengals. Like I'm not saying it's like now or never for them, but I think Joey Burrow looked good. I think he looked better. He looked a little bit more mobile, a little bit more comfortable in the pocket, and he had a couple of runs outside of the pocket too. So like he's a little bit more, he's shifty, right? He's not a scrambler, but he's shifty. And I think because he's able to like plant on that foot a little bit more, it's allowing him to just be able to avoid the sack and whatnot, or avoid the pressure that's coming in.
Another game that I find interesting this week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more so because of what happened last week with this team, is the Ravens Titans.
Really? Okay.
I just wanted to take a moment to talk about Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so much, everyone had opinions on him getting his contract, whether it be like he isn't worth the money, he hasn't, he hasn't won the big game in the playoff. And I watched a good portion of the Steelers Ravens games, and thank you for sharing that link for the illegal streams because that helped me
I'll
accomplish.
let you, boy.
Yeah, but as talented as Lamar Jackson is, and like he's uber talented as an athlete, he has a great deep ball. Like he's talented as a quarterback and as an athlete. Like he's not just a runner, right? He just tends to make bad decisions at the worst possible times, or like bad throws at the worst possible time. That's his biggest knock, and it happened again this past week where they are up. I believe they're up 2 points, right? I think it was a 10-8 game. They go the length of the field with a few minutes left, 4 or 5 minutes, and they're in field goal range on the 6-yard line. The worst thing you can do right there is turn the ball over, right? You kick a field goal, the other team has to score a touchdown to win. He does the worst possible thing. They run the fade route in the corner of the end zone. It's just a badly thrown ball. If you're a quarterback, you got to know like either my receiver's going to get that or it's going to go throw it out of bounds. Like, and it's just decisions like that that continually haunts him, and it just makes me question the Ravens as a whole. Is like, I'm not saying he can't win playoff games, but like, is he going to be able to string together 3 games where he doesn't make that devastating mistake against good teams?
I'm with you to an extent on that. A couple of anchors on TV were talking about the same thing, like just a bad pass, and I'll criticize him when he makes a bad throw, and that was an awful throw. He threw like a back shoulder fade, but didn't get to his back shoulder, so it was just short. And the corner was just like, oh my goodness, it's right in my hands. He just turned around and was like, it's here. I think it was Joey Porter Jr. I think it was his first pick. So shout out to him. But what I bring up, and not like as an unbiased but biased argument too, is they should have never been in that position. When it comes to not you can't not put it on him. He's the quarterback, but I'm also not gonna not bring up dropped touchdown passes. One of them being Mark Andrews, right in his hands, dropped. One of them being Rashard Bateman. This was when it was a 10-8 game, dropped. So it's like, we can play they should have an extra 14 points in that situation. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying in situations where what you're saying, clutch moments, when other people do not deliver, we're not sitting here talking about the pass that Zay Flowers dropped on 3rd and 7, where if he caught the ball, he's running 40 yards for a touchdown, right? Like, we're not doing that. But he did, and we are talking about the fade that he threw, or the back shoulder fade that was turned into a pick. Yes, that was the worst throw he could have made. Very bad decision. We can't forget that there were things that led up to that where they shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. That's the only thing that I would argue against it.
I know. I just think like as a quarterback, you have to know situationally. Like,
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
I cannot be the one to make the biggest fuck up right now.
Yes.
And like, it's crazy because like I think I view Josh Allen as someone who's reckless and makes terrible decisions, but somehow he limits it to like random spots in the game where it's not like the most pivotal moments. Whereas like
second quarter, 6 minutes.
Yeah, like Lamar has less boneheaded decisions than Josh Allen, but they just happen at like literally the worst time of the game where it just like it cost you the game.
Tony Romo effect. Tony Romo was great between first quarter and 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then it was like, oh, here it comes.
To tie it back to this week's game as like a preview, is like I'm looking forward to this game because the Titans have one of the worst pass defenses in the league. And I feel like Lamar could have a really good day against them, and I want to see him not just perform as far as get the statistics, positive statistics like yards and touchdowns, just making good decisions and kind of like sharpening up, I don't know, the command of the offense. You know what I mean? Like I want to see a cleaner game out of him because I want him to build off of that.
Yeah, it's also an international game. We know how weird those things can go. Right. So we've always like we're used to seeing a random person just go off because they're playing in England. So like I could only imagine how that game goes. I hadn't even thought about that one. Definitely one to circle on.
By the way, Jaguars 2-0 over London, dude.
That's what I was just thinking. Like the Jags have dominated across the pond. I guess if I'm going, I mean, I think that's the phrase that they use whenever they play in England. Staying on the Jags, like I think I have this one circled too, the Colts Jags matchup. Yeah. Not so much that Anthony Richardson may or may not play. Like it sucks. Like I told you,
He's out for
He
4
is
to 6
out.
weeks.
Is it collarbone?
I believe it's his AC joint.
Oh, ooh, hey, I got a little bump right here because of it, but playing corner is different than playing quarterback, I'll tell you that. But yeah, like that's even more. I mean, Minshew mania back.
He's not bad. He's a good
No,
backup.
yeah, exactly. He serves his part as being a good
Right.
backup. He's a Mac Jones.
I was gonna say, going back to last week, going back to last week, Mac Jones or Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew,
Hell yeah.
always. But what I would say is this game is huge just based off of the division, right? Like, we talked about. Well, my apologies. We talked about is it the Chiefs that are they in the division? Is it Chiefs, Jags, Colts?
No, um, that division is really bad. It's
It's Texans,
yeah,
Colts, Jags, and
Titans.
Raiders.
No,
Nope.
it's Colts,
Yep.
Titans, Texans,
Texans,
and
Colts.
Jaguars.
Yes,
very
4
winnable
teams.
division. Very winnable.
Very, very bad division. So this one is one of those, whoever wins this game has a big, big advantage of winning the AFC South. Very strange that Indianapolis is considered South. I think that's where part of my issue is remembering that, because it's not a Southern team. But yes, I think that would be that's a huge game for them. You know, we can see where Trevor Lawrence should be, which was supposed to be the best quarterback in the division. I'm not saying CJ Stroud is like on his stratosphere right now, but CJ Stroud is playing above expectations. So who knows who actually is the best QB in that division right now?
I have one more game I'm interested in, and then I have a question for you after that. The big game I'm interested in this week is, I'm gonna call it the put up or shut up bowl. Monday Night Football. You know,
This is an ugly game. Yeah, this is Giants and
no, that's Sunday night. Monday. Night.
No, I don't know who's
Cowboys,
Sunday.
Chargers.
Oh, yes, I actually have that circled. Yes, I have that. Good stuff.
2 super hyped teams coming to the season. Kind of underwhelming. Perennially hyped up, and it's like, which one of you guys are actually for real? And if are any of you for real?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of buzz that's going to be behind it too. I think it's going to take a little away though with Herbert's finger. I think it's dislocated still. Kudos to him being tough as nails, going out there and still playing with a broken finger essentially. Put a splint on it. You see that? And he was out there slinging. It was good. 2 weeks ago because they had to bye last week. But yeah, it's still all messed up. And look, this is what we talk about. Like, Jerry Jones keeps saying Dak is their guy. Dak could lead them to a Super Bowl. But every year it's the same Cowboys, same story. I always talk about it. They're the Notre Dame of the NFL, or the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, or the Cowboys of college football. Like, they're the same. Every year we go into the season of them being a national championship contender or a Super Bowl contender. And then we get to, why are we still doing this? Why is it every single year we fool ourselves with saying that they're going to be good? They finish mediocre or a really great regular season record to lay an egg in the playoffs. And they got smacked around by the 49ers last week. It was embarrassing. I know that we're not going to do too much of a recap, but like, that was an embarrassing game to show up at. The turnovers that Dak had were ridiculous. Like, one of the fumbles that he had was like, come on, man. Like, you have to be better than this. But you know, I think it's a really good matchup for what you're saying as to like who's going to be who can actually live up to some of the hype, because you both are clearly underachievers right now. You're both 2-2 and 3-2. So somebody's going to have either a 500 or below 500 record.
Do you have any more games that you're interested in before I ask you a question?
I mean, not really particular games. The legacy builder that I was talking about was the Pats Raiders, just because it's Josh McDaniels facing the the GOAT when it comes to coach. I think it's a funny one that you're starting to hear murmurs right now that people are saying that Belichick has to go. So it wasn't us that started it, but like, sure as hell ain't us finishing it either. There's a lot of people talking about it. So that's the only reason why, just because you got the golden boy coming back. And if Josh McDaniels beats Bill Belichick, I could only imagine talk radio for up north.
They scored 3 points over 2 games and gave up like 60 something between the Cowboys game and the Saints game last week. By the way, both of us hammering the Saints that week.
Dominated that. I'm so happy. It wasn't even just because of it being being the Saints, but just the fact that it was an ass whooping the way that it was. First drive, pick 6. I was like, all right, yep, this game's over.
I was going to ask you. There's a couple games this week that are double-digit favorites.
Mhm.
And I'm curious, do you think which team would you think will put up the best fight this week? So your options are Broncos, Chiefs, which that's at Kansas City. They're a 10-point favorite. You have the Panthers at Dolphins. Dolphins a 13.5-point favorite. You have the Giants at Bills. Bills being a 14-point favorite. I'm curious, like, who do you think would put up the best fight of those three double-digit favorites? Because I have a sneaky feeling that
Don't
about.
give away yours. Don't give yours. Let me give mine first.
Go ahead.
Because there's something about it being a Thursday game and it
Ooh,
being a division game. I'm not saying that you're going to see an upset.
Broncos country, let's ride.
There's just something different about divisional games. And we saw the Chiefs look a little hoo-hoo because of the Kelsey injury last week. There's a lot of crap going around with Denver. And I'm not saying that they're going to win. I'm not even going to say that they're going to
gonna be
cover.
close.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those, like, you could either see a 20-10 game or you could see a 35-21 game. Like, either high scoring or just good defense. Just because it's a division game. That those games, just like the Patriots, Jets, the Bills, Jets, like, they just end up being close because they know each other's schemes, they know each other's plays, all that shit.
I feel like for me, like I would not take the Bills minus 14 in that game. I know the Bills are awesome, but like they look terrible in London. They had a stinker week 1. Man, I know the Giants have been a laughing stock, but man, they were a playoff team last year. They're not that much different. I feel like it's New York, man, like two New York teams. For some reason, that game is like, and it's Sunday night football, which weird things happen on Sunday night.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I feel like that game's going to be like a 7-point game or something by the end of it, 6 point within a touchdown.
That's the only advantage that I would give to the Giants is it's a Sunday night game, right? Prime time, people usually perform at their best. The only problem is that the guy that's trying to perform at his best right now is Danny Dimes. He just doesn't look like Daniel Jones of last season. I think there were murmurs of like MVP talks with what he was doing last season because of his numbers with Dayball, but like it's just not the same this year. Saquon's not Saquon. You know, he's just not the same running back that we thought he was going to be because of what happened in the offseason. Their leading receiver is Darren Waller, but like they have supposedly all these other wide receivers. It's just it's a very bad thing going on in New York right now. New Jersey.
He's been MIA Waller this entire season for the most part.
Which goes to show you that there's nobody catching the passes out there.
I'm curious what his rushing stats are, but I feel like Daniel Jones has looked good when he runs the ball. He gets into trouble when like they challenge him to run the ball and they cover up the run where he's now throwing off the run and like out of rhythm. You know what I mean? Like he's decent in rhythm. Like when he can just take his 3-5 step drop, make a pass, he's fine. Or like when he's running a designed run play, it's when he's getting forced out of the pocket and he's like improvising. It's almost like the Zach Wilson thing where Zach Wilson's not bad if he can play in rhythm and within the play. But when things break down, he plays like backyard football, makes bad decisions. That's kind of like the Danny Dime thing where when you force him into those situations, he makes bad choices, which I guess that's fixable as far as like if you can just really rein him in as far as like you're doing this and then if not, throw it away. I don't know.
You got to have a good script to do that.
Right.
And that the problem is when I think their last couple of games, let me get the exact numbers. Last couple of games, 31-16, 24-3, 30-12. When you get behind 10, 14 points, you can't continuously follow the script. And that's what's been their issue. You can come out there, like you're saying, you can make it also in rhythm. You can make those plays, those passes. But when you get behind, you got to rely on the quarterback to try to get, bail you out.
One sneaky thing to consider also is that the Giants defense, I think they forced 3 turnovers last week against the Dolphins, who everyone really likes their offense. We know Josh Allen is just looking to turn the ball over. So it could be a sneaky thing where they win the turnover battle and keep it close. I don't know. Let's get into our next segment. Another NFL based. We'll just do a couple really quick. Fraud or friction. fraud or fiction. It's more of like a overall NFL look as far as the whole season. We're going to pick a couple teams that we think are fraudulent. So basically, like they have a plus record, but we think that they are fraudulent at that plus record. So any type of winning record. Fiction is like that ain't real. And we're going with someone who has a negative record who we think are better than their record might suggest. I'm going to kick us off just so I can, I'm sure you have this one as well, just so I can tear into this team. The Dallas Cowboys, man. I know it's only 3-2, so they don't have a great record, but dude, this team is so fraudy, it's not even funny. They are still considered a top 6 team to win the Super Bowl as far as the Vegas odds are concerned. And the problem for me is like, we got really hyped up on the Cowboys after week 1 when they beat the brakes off the Giants, who were a team that made the playoffs. We're like, oh man, this Dallas Cowboy team is for real. And then we realized that the Giants are trash.
But they are who we thought they were.
I want to read this off to you. The teams that the Cowboys actually beat.
Mm-hmm.
Giants, who have won 1 game against the Cardinals, and they had to, grant you, come back from a huge deficit. The Cowboys beat the Jets, the Zach Wilson-led Jets, and we all know how that story's going. They lost to the Cardinals. Cardinals only won on the season. And they beat the Patriots, who have scored a combined 3 points in the past 2 games. And then they lose. They get their breaks beat up by the Cowboys. So, the 49ers. So, their wins are Patriots, Jets, Giants. Not impressive at all. That's what? It's 4 wins, opponent wins combined. They've beat nobody. And we're just saying that they are this amazing potential Super Bowl team because what? Because they're the Cowboys and we know their name.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. There's nothing that you can really tell me to talk me off the ledge, and I don't believe that the Cowboys are the fraud boys. So yeah, I can totally agree with you on that one.
Who's your first team that you want to nominate for fraud?
So I'm gonna stick with I think it's gonna be fraud. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with fraud, and I don't care if this one pisses you off. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a fraud. I think, yes, you may have beat the Vikings, who we see have 1 win and are right now the number 2 seed for getting the number 1 pick in the NFL. Vikings are not good. Then they beat the Bears. Yeah, they started off 2-0. They beat the Vikings and Bears, right? Like, come on. Then they get smacked by the Eagles. Granted, who doesn't? Who can't, right? So that completely happens. And I understand that they beat the Saints. They beat the Saints without a quarterback. Derek Carr off of a broken shoulder. So I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be 3-1. I just don't believe in the 3-1 just based off of their opponents that they've faced. 2 teams that won't make the playoffs, the Bears and the Vikings, and then you played a quarterback, and this isn't even just like the emotional side of it. You played a team that didn't have a quarterback, so they literally couldn't throw it past 10 yards. So they got a lot coming up. Big game with them against the Lions. I think that's going to determine a lot. I had that one as a key game this week, and then they got a good run when it comes to the Bills after, and then I think they play the Saints. They play the 49ers in like 4 weeks. So we'll see if they're actual real. I think they're fraudulent 3-1 record right now. Who has a bye week 4 weeks in? That's also
that doesn't help.
Flaky. Yeah, it's a lot of season left without another break.
Well, I think just like as a counterpoint to you're calling the Bucs a fraud, that roster is pretty much the same roster that they had last year as far as the starters are concerned. And that was a team that was thought of as a potential Super Bowl contender. They finished 9-8. I believe they won their division. The only difference was we traded out Tom Brady for Baker Mayfield. And I know that sounds like a huge downgrade, but Tom Brady was bad last year.
Oh, awful.
Straight up bad. And Baker Mayfield has played phenomenally. And I'm not saying this is who Baker Mayfield is. Dare I say, is this an upgraded quarterback from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield?
From the last season of Tom Brady? Yeah, you could say that. He's just more athletic and he can actually throw the ball better.
So, what is to say this team cannot finish, again, 9-8 and be in the playoffs?
Because you have Baker Mayfield. That's the reason why. And I don't care. Well, I liked the kid in college, but Baker Mayfield just ain't it. I'm sorry. And if you believe in him, you believe in him. But if you put a quarterback to your list, you know that you're ranking him bottom half of the NFL. You're not ranking him top. So if you're saying that you believe in a team that has a bottom half quarterback,
I want to give him a chance just because we saw what happened with Geno Smith last year.
Right.
Everyone thought he was a perennial backup at that point, and he's proven himself to be a legitimate starting quarterback after being in the dumpster for, getting punched and broken his jaw in the Jets in his career going down the tube. He's a good quarterback now. And Baker Mayfield, we saw him in year one. Did he win Rookie of the Year one?
Yeah.
He broke all sorts of rookie quarterback records, and he dealt with injuries and weird shit in Cleveland after that, and it just didn't work out. So I'm not saying he's going to be the Geno Smith right trajectory, but at the same time, why not? Why not him? He has the pedigree. He's drafted number 1 overall. We've seen him be good in the past, and he's got some good skill positions.
He does, but again, it's Baker Mayfield. I don't trust that name.
You're just a hater because you're a Saints fan.
It has nothing to do. I said the same thing when he was on the Browns, but go ahead.
I'm going to stop being a hater. I want to pick a fiction team, a team that I think is better than their record says they are. And I need to pull up the stats on this team, but I'm going to say the Minnesota Vikings.
Ooh,
you don't like that?
No.
They're 1-4. They're 1-4, right? But I believe every game they've lost, they've finished within 1 score. And they've played some good teams. I'm trying to look back at their games this year. So they lost to the Bucks by 3. They lost to the Eagles by a little more, but that was a very competitive game. And the Eagles have looked like the Eagles again this year. Lost to the Chargers by 4. Lost to the Chiefs by 7. It was a really close game at the end of that game, the Chiefs game. I just think their offensive firepower. I know they just lost Justin Jefferson. Addison looks like a real deal wide receiver. They have some good offensive weapons. Kirk Cousins, while we're going to joke on Kirk Cousins, he's actually a good quarterback. Like, is he a great quarterback? No, but he's a good quarterback, a quarterback you'd want to have. I just think this is a team, the Vikings, they're 1-4, but it's a team that no one would want to play. Like, if they don't give me a look, because they're a team that could be upsetting anyone any week. I just think they're a better team than 1-4. I think that they've had a tough start to the season with a couple tough games. Watch them rebound and finish somewhere around 500.
So I couldn't disagree with you anymore.
Okay.
Reason being is, I'll first touch on, you mentioned their 1-score game. This was a pattern that they had last year. And
it worked the other way for them.
Exactly. They won more games in the history of the NFL being 1-score games than any team in NFL history. And then it bit them in the ass in the playoffs. Since then, they've now played the same way, in which games are close, but they're not closing the deal. And there's a difference between Kirk Cousins and primetime Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has like a record of like,
he's so bad,
750. Yeah, well, I'm saying 750 when it doesn't involve big time games. And then when it involves big games, it's like 2-30. Like, he's miserable when the lights shine bright. So you are right with Kirk Cousins being a good to decent quarterback. He's the guy that prevents you from having the number 1 pick, but doesn't get you deep into the playoffs. So he's a middler, which is tough. Like, there's the Patrick Mahomes. Are you Patrick Mahomes in the NFL? Or are you Kirk Cousins? Or are you bottom of the NFL? Like, he's the guy that sets the filter of somebody that isn't good enough to, get you to the deep in playoff run, but isn't bad enough to get you to draft in the top 5.
Is he agree with me on this one or disagree? Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback below the tier of great.
Yes. Yeah.
He's the best.
Better than Dak. I hate saying that, but he's better than Dak, and Dak is mid tier. So, like, yes, those would be those, like, you put if I'm looking at it really quickly, I'm looking at just by division. Mac Jones bottom tier, he's better than Mac Jones. Can't do rookie and Pittman. Can't do Deshaun Watson.
He's better.
Depending on the season, yes, he's better than Deshaun Watson. AFC South can't really go. He's better than Tannehill.
Yes,
AFC West, not better than any of those. He's better than Russell Wilson. He's better than Derek Carr is not in Vegas. Who's in Vegas? He's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Yep, he's better than Garoppolo. He's better than Dak.
Let me find your comparison. To win a game right now, would you want Kirk Cousins or Trevor Lawrence?
What time's the game at?
It's in London.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I was just kidding because
Yeah.
they're awesome in London. That's a funny retort, but that's pretty good. If you can't say with confidence Trevor Lawrence or Kirk Cousins, it's pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's if there's a ranking between 1 to 10, he's going to be 11th. If there's a ranking between 15 to 20, he's going to be 14th. Like he's below whatever you got as expectation, but he's above whatever you consider trash. Like that's where Kirk Cousins is.
I will say, like, we dogged on the Vikings, or no, we personally, like, I think the general consensus was like dogging on the Vikings for the contract that he had and just him being there forever. But it's kind of worked out for them. I mean, it hasn't won the Super Bowl, but like he's been good for them. They've been relevant.
Yes, he's kept the Vikings in the hunt in a division that like nobody seems to ever want to win. Like even when Aaron Rodgers was there, like who knows? But yeah, well, again, I don't believe in them. Well, I'll disagree with you on that one. I think I'm going to stick with where was it? I think it was fraud. No. My apologies. Fiction. And this isn't even just. I'm not going to get rid of it, but I kind of trust the team if they can stay healthy, which they have outside of their wide receiver and their running back right now. But the Chargers, I think they're at 2-2. I think they can do much better because of the division that they're in. I don't see them winning it, but I think they'll still be a bottom end wild card. I don't think that they're a 500 team, right? And I know that they also had the early bye. Austin Eckler is hopefully going to come back at some point. Quentin Johnston, I think, is out for the rest of the season, and that was supposed to be their main guy. Mike Williams, sorry, is out for the rest of the season. That was supposed to be their main guy
this week.
Yeah, so like I think the pieces come in at the right time. They just have the same thing that I was talking about with the Bucks. You got a lot of season without another break, so you just gotta hope that the dislocated finger just fixes itself, and Austin Eckler doesn't miss any more time. But I think that they could be, or they should be, a 3-1, 4-0 type of start to the season.
By the way, I remember we did the fantasy football special, and you disagreed strongly about the Keenan Allen take. I said I thought he was a very good pick in like a 4th, 5th round. He's been awesome this year. Just want to go on that one. I'm gonna be official with my last one. Just really quick. My last one's fiction. So a team that I think is better than the record suggests. 2-3. LA Rams, a team that we all thought would be awful this year, bottom of the barrel. They're 2-3. They've looked really, really good, competitive in every single game, even against good teams. And they did this all with Cooper Kupp. And they're doing it with Puka Nacua, who is a rookie of the year candidate. Their offense looks great. Stafford, he was bad last year, and I think he had elbow injury coming into the season. And then we were unsure as a public, is this just Matt Stafford's new persona? Like, is this who Matt Stafford is now? Like the fall off after the Super Bowl, and it looks like it was more of the injury versus just him tailing off. They've been awesome, and this is a team that we thought would be fighting for Caleb Williams, and it looks like they could be fighting for a wild card by the end of the season.
Yeah, if there's one that I can agree with you on, it's this one. I believe in the Rams. I don't think they're gonna, be a contender for the division, but I think that they will fight for a really good high
in the hunt.
Yeah, they'll be up there in the hunt. No, they're going to be better. They're going to be a wild card team. I don't even call them an in the hunt team. I think they're going to be up there with the Seahawks. I think you will see 3 teams come out of the playoffs in that division. Go into the playoffs out of that division. I think Kyron Williams is a pretty solid running back that they have. Obviously, you said that they're getting Cooper Kupp back, but they've been able to, withstand the non-presence of Cooper Kupp just because of his injury. Tutu Atwell isn't bad. Obviously, Higbee catching passes in the middle helps them. Their offense is good, and their defense looks decent, right? Like they're not missing Jalen Ramsey. Like I'm not saying that like they couldn't use more secondary. Who can't? But they're not bottom tier at like secondary or pass defense because of it. Like Aaron Donald still isn't looking like Aaron Donald, but once he got his ring, he kind of didn't need to. So like I'm not blaming him for that. He's also getting triple teamed. I don't know if you've seen videos about that, but like there's times where he legit gets like quadruple teamed, like 3 guys, the center, tackle, and guard hit him, and then the running back chips. So like hopefully somebody else gets the sack because of that. But yeah, I believe you.
looking ahead at their schedule, it's not bad at all. Cardinals twice, Steelers who can't score at all, Packers, Browns, Ravens is a tough one, Commanders,
You're just
Saints,
gonna skip the Cowboys game, huh?
they're frauds. Giants, like a lot of winnable games.
Yeah.
All winnable games. All right, last, you got one more for us before we get into
No,
the game?
that was it. That's all I got for you.
Nice. Let's win some money. I will say for those listening, we as a show absolutely crushed our picks last week. I went 3-0. D went 2-0-1. So you didn't get a loss. You got the tie on. I think it was the Texans versus Falcons. You took Texans +2. They lost by 2. You know what kind of sucks too, and we've been doing it so like whatever we pick on the show is our final line. The line moves throughout the week.
Yeah.
That line actually moved to 2.5 +2.5.
So I would have lost.
You
I would have won.
You would have won. Yeah. Interesting one that happened last week is you did, I think, Chiefs -5.5 at kickoff. That line had moved to -3.5. Yeah, it moved pretty heavily.
So that's the one that I gained an advantage because I took it at the higher.
No, you had a loss. You lost it.
I lost an advantage. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Still terrible at knowing that.
By the line swing, but we're back this week. We're gonna win you some money. My record right now, I'm 2 games over 500. I think I'm 7-5. Does that make sense?
If you won 3 games last week,
7-5.
Yeah, you're 7-5.
You're right under 500. I don't know your
4-6-1, 4-6-2.
So we're gonna get you back to over 500. Let's win some money.
Yes, sir.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
I'm gonna kick us off. I'm just gonna go 3 in a row, right?
Mm-hmm.
My 3, your 3. My first pick, and I'm trying to get the music here. My first pick's going to be Ravens -4.5 at the Titans.
Ooh.
I don't trust the Titans. The Ravens had a really tough loss last week to the Steelers. I expect them to have a bounce back game, right? To refocus themselves. I alluded to at the beginning of the show, like the Titans have one of the worst pass defenses in the league, and the Ravens have been cooking in the air. I expect a big game for Lamar Jackson. I think the Ravens bounce back. I'll give the 4.5 points just because I don't know, man. I think the Titans can't score. I don't think they'll be able to keep up with the Ravens. My second pick, I'll save that one for the last. My second pick is one of my fiction teams. I believe in the Vikings. Vikings are coming back this week to get a W. They've been competitive in every game. They're playing the Bears at the Bears. They're giving up 2.5 points. This would have been a bigger line if the Bears hadn't shit on the Commanders on Thursday Night Football. That ain't happening again. And I think the line has shifted to a little recency bias. I don't think the Bears are going to repeat what they did to the Commanders. Vikings will probably score a ton. They're going to force a lot on Justin Fields. I don't know if they're going to have 3 touchdowns from DJ Moore. I'll give the 2.5 points. It's less than a field goal. I think the Vikings actually probably win this one big. Any thoughts on the first 2 picks so far?
I mean, I think the first one is just a solid one. I think there's a big bounce back game for the Ravens. I would hesitate to take a ton of points with the Vikings because Jefferson's up. Yeah, but you said that they're gonna blow them out, and Jefferson's not playing. Yes, Jordan Addison is really good, but is he a number 1? You're about to find out, obviously.
I'm more fading the Bears defense. That defense outside of last week was one of the worst defenses of all time. So I think they score. I wouldn't even be surprised if we had a big Alexander Madison game. He wakes up this week. All right, my last pick, and you're gonna hate this one. You're gonna be like, you're an idiot. I'm gonna ride the Bucks. I believe in the Bucks. They're home. They're a home dog. You're getting 3 points with the Bucks versus the Lions. I know the Lions are everyone's sexy team this year. They've been really good, but they predicate their offense on running the ball. The Bucks have a top 10 run defense in the league. Vita Vea still in the middle. They're going to force Jared Goff to beat him in the air. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs might be questionable and might not play this week as well. So I'm riding the Bucks. I think just personally, Vegas and the public they're just not believers of the Bucks, and you're a testament to that. I'll take 3 points. Give me the home dog.
I don't mind that one. I think the Lions actually get that dub though, but if you're going that route, that's on you. I'm on Ross St. Brown is most likely going to come back, and David Montgomery has looked really good. So we'll see if you believe in that defense up the middle. I think Goff has been revitalized, and he's just continuing his run that he was on last year or the end of last season. It was like weeks 13 through 17 that he just went off, and he's continued it into this season. So not bad picks. I don't agree with them, but not bad picks. There's nothing wrong with that.
What you got?
If you're going emotion with their Bucks, then I'll take mine too. As much as I want to believe in CJ because I think he's a front runner for the Rookie of the Year. I'm going Saints Titans, and I'm gonna give the Titans the 1.5. I'm taking Saints. I think even if it's on the road, Derek Carr is starting to get into his own. They looked really good. Their defense looked really good. Granted, it was against the Patriots, but they're playing in the Dome. Tyrann Mathieu used to play for the Texans, so like he's got a little bit of history there. I think that Michael Thomas has done pretty well, and Chris Olave should be available to play. And Alvin Kamara looked incredible, second week back. So I think the offense for the Saints is just getting better and better. So I'm going to go with them. And that's not even an emotional pick. I'm just going by the points.
I'll do you a favor. DraftKings is -1. So you got Saints -1 instead of -1.5.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that pick. I was debating that as one of my picks. Man, this Texans team kind of scares me a little bit. They're home. They're good. They're at home. They got seemingly a good defense, some pass rushers that can get after it. But if the Saints look like they did last week, and Derek Carr is back to being at least like a decent quarterback, they should be all right. Also, one thing to monitor is I did see that Olave was given a questionable tag today, so I don't know.
He'll be in. He's good. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I was talking that. Their offense still looks good, even if he's like not on the shelf, but like not playing full potential. Second pick I'm going. I know that it's more so the high points, but I just think you're gonna see what the hell kind of defense is this. I'm going to Eagles Jets. Giving the Jets 7. I know that's a lot in the NFL, but Zach Wilson, I know that he's been doing his best to try to silence some demons. That Eagles defense is different, right? So I see them causing a whole lot of pressure up the middle and him not knowing what the hell to do. So I just think that's more on, you get behind 10 and then they open the floodgates with the rush and he might not be able to handle that. So it's more so the Eagles defense versus, the Eagles offense that I think is going to blow the doors off this one.
I don't hate that one. The spread's a little bit big for me, but they could cover it. I mean, the one thing to consider, those Eagles haven't looked in most of their games like super dominant. And Zach Wilson, he's been better the past couple weeks, but they probably still cover -7. All right, last pick.
Yeah, last one. I'm going college just because I want to, and I feel like if I
so many times in college.
Yeah, I know. I gotta at least get something out of it. But this one, because I'm gonna have my eyes locked into it. I'm going USC Notre Dame. USC is giving 3, so I'm gonna go ahead and take them. I think this is the game that's gonna define Caleb Williams, right? Like Notre Dame usually chokes in big games like this. I'm hoping it doesn't come down to a field goal, but I could see a 28-24 type of game. Notre Dame's got the lead 28-24, 21-24, and then Caleb Williams scores the game-winning touchdown. I could see that happening.
So USC at Notre Dame. What line did you do? I have -2.5, so I'm going to give you.
Oh, I'm definitely going to take that then. Yeah, it's got 3. I'm on ESPN. I don't use DraftKings, so I'll take that, making it even better if it comes down to a field goal.
Just a bonus pick for me. It doesn't count as my my money talk specs. North Carolina is a 3.5 point favorite against Miami
NC State.
North Carolina is home
Duke. Sorry,
home favorite by 3.5 points against Miami, who just got beat by Georgia Tech.
Yeah, we didn't have enough time to talk about that game. But did you see the debacle for what happened in Miami?
Yeah, I'll fade down the game news. Those are picks for the week. Good picks. Good picks. Into what you were just saying, yes, because it ties perfectly into the next segment about college football. Yeah, They could have just went to victory formation and won the game.
So the problem is, not only did he screw that up there, he's
Done it
done this
before.
multiple times, and it's like, when can you learn? When do you learn? So yeah, Mario Cristobal, what a dumb decision to run the ball under 2 minutes instead of just kneeling it and taking the win. Yes, just stupid. And my heart goes out to JA from the Northeast, because I know he's going to listen to us tomorrow, and he's a big Hurricanes fan, and that one was a tough pill to swallow, right? I don't understand why you even put yourself in that position. Go ahead.
Is not only did he not kneel in this game, but apparently that's his thing.
He did it at Oregon.
He does not kneel the ball, and he's done that all this year as well. Like when they're up and they can just kneel the game out, they just keep running the ball. It's so stupid. It's almost disrespectful, in my opinion, just to like keep running it down someone's throat for no fucking reason.
Well, it is.
And not only was that disastrous, Georgia Tech has like one of the worst offenses, in my opinion. By the way, did you know Georgia Tech doesn't run the wishbone anymore?
No,
I was shocked. I watched the game.
I'm not surprised, but like, I mean, Navy's still doing it, so kudos to Navy for holding on tight. But no, I didn't know that.
And then they let Georgia Tech's offense go 70 yards in like 20 seconds. It's unbelievable. Yeah, they run like a shotgun offense, and I was floored. I'm like, where's the triple option? No,
I couldn't not see the wing T with the GT on the helmets. Good gracious.
Yeah, that's an embarrassing loss. And so embarrassing losses. I had a tough time betting college football this weekend because I don't know who to trust. There are so many college football teams in the top 25 that are so fraudulent, and they are eking out wins. Even like Ohio State this week, granted Maryland was undefeated coming into that game. They had a very, very tough time against Maryland. So
Said it was going to be close.
this is a segment I call D's Inner Circle of Trust. And I basically want D to go through, like, you don't have to go to the whole top 25, but just pick a couple of teams that you feel you can trust to win games and be in the conversation of like one of the best teams at the end of the year, a potential college football playoff team. Like, who do you trust? Because I can't trust anyone, man. I'm afraid to place a bet because everyone's going to lose in any given week.
So I'll start with, I guess, one of the lower ranked, because I mean the number one is gonna be pretty easy, but lower ranked, not low ranked, but lower. I trust Penn State this season.
Interesting.
Kind of out of nowhere, yeah. So the reason why is I think it's more so the coaching. James Franklin is a great coach, and I think he's going to challenge Jim Harbaugh and the kid from Ohio State. I always forget his name, but I think Penn State is running away with how good they actually look in the Big Ten. They got a lot of testing coming up, and obviously not this week. They play UMass, which should be a bloodbath. Shout out to you guys out in Amherst if you guys are listening. But I think after that, they got Ohio State, they got Indiana, they got Maryland. So like, yeah, that's not murderer's row because of Indiana, but like those are still three big games that are going to define their season, right? So I think I can see them, even if they lose to Ohio State, if they beat Michigan at the end of the season, they're still going to be within that like college football ranking top 5, top 6, which I think that's why I would trust Penn State. It's more so for their coaching and the way that they can finish the season.
Okay. I've heard that they have like a thing about not throwing the ball deep at Penn State. Is that true?
I mean, I think it's like Drew Allar is their quarterback. He's not Trace McSorley. Like, he's not their past quarterbacks that they've had, which is kind of tough. But Penn State just wins, right? And that's what they're doing right now. They run the ball really effectively. They play really good defense, and it's helped them to get to where they're at right now, still being undefeated. It's just what's going to happen when they get to Ohio State, and that's going to be the game right there.
Yeah, it's tough because they have Ohio State and Michigan on the schedule.
Yeah, same division, same conference.
Lose one of those games and still be in the consideration. Yes,
exactly. Yes, because of one or the other. Meaning, if they beat Ohio State, lose to Michigan, they have the Ohio State win on their resume. If they lose to Ohio State and then beat Michigan, they'll have the beat Michigan on their resume. So like I think that's where you kind of trust, or at least know one of them is going to do well. They're going to do well.
Yeah, there's really no teams that could really trip them up outside of potentially like Maryland. Again, they were scrappy against Ohio State, but the rest of the schedule, Indiana, Massachusetts, as you mentioned, Rutgers and Michigan State, who's a disaster. So they have a really good shot of being in contention. So who else is your inner circle of trust outside of Penn State?
I know that I talked about it earlier in the season, but I mean, he's proven me wrong. I'm going with the Ducks. I'm going with Oregon. I think they're going to be up there with finishing top 4, top 5. I think they beat USC. Caleb Williams is great, but he's not. He can't win everything. I think Oregon showed they flexed their muscles with how big they are on the interior when it comes to offensive and defensive line against Colorado. And Bo Nix is a Heisman Trophy candidate. 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 1 pick. Pretty good. And it's halfway through the season. So you talk about if he finishes 3,500, 4,000 yards, 30 to 40 touchdown passes, not including if he scores on the ground. Like that's decent. I think that's noteworthy, especially if you could run the table and get yourself to an undefeated season going into the college football playoff. Like, yeah, I think the Ducks, I won't say that they're for real and this is their year for a national championship because they always tend to get clipped. But I think I can trust that they will be considered a college football playoff attendee.
So as a follow-up question, so I have 2 teams in your inner circle of trust right now for the college football playoffs. You have Oregon, you have Penn State. Does that mean Washington is not a part of your inner circle of trust because they're playing Oregon this week?
Yeah, I love Washington. I think Michael Penix Jr. is an incredible quarterback. I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback drafted this year in the NFL, but it's just him. And we saw that they're a high-flying offense, and high-flying offenses typically do really well, obviously, in college. But Oregon can control the ground game. They got some runners back there, and not just like old school like fast speed like running backs. They got power backs. They got LeGarrette Blount like type running backs, and I think that's when you can slow down a high powered offense is when you can beat them up on offense and defense with the run game. So I think you see Oregon not run away with their the win against Washington, but I think that this is the game that they show that they're the better team.
So one more. Then does that mean USC's out?
Yeah, I said that. I don't trust USC. Not so much that I don't trust Caleb Williams. I just don't trust this team around him.
So you have Oregon winning the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Undefeated?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I like
it's
that.
Not easy, but Oregon can control the Pac-12 and the Big Ten because Pac-12 used to play the Big Ten in the Rose Bowl. They can do that. It's when they play the Big 12 and the SEC, they struggle. And like, we'll see, right? Like, I think they'll be in the top 4. I don't think they're a top 5 looking out. I mean, outside looking in. I think they make, if they run the table, they make the college football playoff.
All right, who else is in your circle? I got 2 so far.
Yeah, moving up in rankings, because it's going to be one hand washes the other. I don't trust Ohio State by any means, but they got past the area that I thought they were going to struggle with. I'm going with Michigan. I had given a lot of shit at the beginning of the season to JJ McCarthy because I was part of the, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. He's clearly the number 1 there. Jim Harbaugh has come back. Is it John or Jim? Jim has come back, and I thought that like the first 4 games because he was suspended, like, hey man, like they could get clipped. And they didn't, right? Like they look really good. They're flexing how strong they are on defense. Their defense is extremely talented. So I trust that they will be a top consideration for the college football playoff at the end of the season.
So you can have more than 4 teams in your circle of trust, but it sounds like you're clipping it at 4.
I have to. I'm going to because, like you said, there's just I don't trust people in this. I mean, kind of the number 1 is the dead giveaway, obviously, but like I'll just go down the reason the 25 of people that typically stick out, but why I don't. Duke's never been there before. So, like, I'm not going to say that I trust them. I think they lose games like to North Carolina, or they lose a random game in the ACC or the American Conference, whatever they're in, to like Miami. North Carolina, same thing. Like they're flip or flop, right? I think they could lose to Duke, or they could lose to Miami.
On Alabama, man.
I don't trust Alabama because they make mistakes that they've never made before. And we said this last year. Last year they're a Nick Saban coach team, but they get undisciplined in situations that you don't expect. And yes, Joe Milroe looks good. Jalen Milroe, I can't pronounce his name, but it's like JM, and it bothers my like speech impediment. But like the quarterback Milroe, he looks good at times, but at others he looks miserable. And when he does look miserable, it's like bad. Like all the corner would need to do is just bump the wide receiver and sit back in zone. And he goes, oh crap, they're in cover 2. And like he throws it to. So like that was a very bad throw that he made. And I can't unthink that to trust him moving forward. Notre Dame, obviously, I can't trust LSU right now, even though that's my squad. Texas, I said that Quinn Ewers was looking over his shoulder because of Archie. They went out and lost to Oklahoma. I'm not going to say that I trust Oklahoma by any means just because they got to win. Lincoln Riley thinks
that's a tough win, man. Big rivalry game on the road.
Yeah, but Oklahoma's always Oklahoma. Oklahoma always finds a way to screw it up. That's just what they do. And I know that they don't really have meaningful games to end the season. Their biggest game was against Texas, but I still don't trust them. They could go out there and lose to Oklahoma State. I've seen it happen. They could go out there and lose to West Virginia. I've seen that happen. Like it's just Oklahoma has that stench. So there's a bunch of teams in the top 25 that like, yeah, could they make a run? But that doesn't mean that I trust them. The only team that I do that is a number one pick consensus for is, and I've changed the ways with thinking about Carson Beck and the way that he actually performed. Georgia, right? Like they went from looking like they could be beatable to being like, oh damn, no, they're the number one team in the country for a reason. So like I think we might potentially see the first 3-time back-to-back champion in quite some time if Carson Beck can continue playing the way he's playing.
Damn, so you have 4 teams, no love for the ACC, no love for the Big 12. It's fine though. So you've narrowed it down to 4 teams. I said you could have put like 20 teams if you wanted to. You gave me 4. So since we're at 4, give me your prediction then at this point of 1 through 4. Where does it end up?
I think you got
because
1 with Georgia.
Yep.
2 is going to be the winner of
Michigan, Penn State.
Yep.
Which one wins that?
I got to go Michigan. I just because of the experience that JJ McCarthy has.
Penn State drops to 4.
I think they dropped to 5. No, I think they dropped to 5. I think you put in Oregon.
Slips in.
What's up?
So someone randomly slips in if.
No, I mean not randomly, but like you're telling me who I trust. Can a team get into the top 4 without me trusting them? Yeah.
Okay.
You can still filter in Florida State, a random ACC team if they run the table because of a conference championship. A conference championship may boost them over a team that doesn't win the conference championship. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, I could see it being Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Oregon 3, and then like a Florida State or like Oklahoma 4, but just because they win their conference, not because they deserve it over like a Penn State who lost to the number 2 team in the country.
Damn. It's not a lot of teams I can truly bet on and feel good about anymore.
No, man, college football is strange this season. That NIL money changing a whole lot for everybody, bro. I'm telling you, you're just seeing random teams that can just be good on any given basis because they have a stud that they typically don't have, but because they can pay them, they do have that stud.
Good show. Let's closing it out of here.
The show is coming to an end. But first, it's time to get to anything we've missed. It's closing time. 1 segment, 2 takes. Now go.
That's right. Closing takes, opportunity to just fire off whatever we want to do. I want to talk so much NBA next week, so I'm going to hold my NBA thoughts for that. I'm going to jump off, just like talk about MLB playoffs very quick.
Okay.
It's been so weird, man, because I don't know. Baseball is unlike any sport in that once the playoffs start, it's just about getting in. Maybe hockey's a little bit like that with the hot goalie thing.
Yeah.
But man, baseball is so weird. So many big like favorites going down early. Tampa Bay Rays finished with 100 wins, I believe. They lost in the wild card round.
That's a 3-game series?
Yeah, the wild card round's a 3.
That's so strange.
Yeah, which increases the amount of variability. It goes 3, 5, 7. So this current round, the divisional is a 5-game. We just lost the Orioles, who were the second best team record-wise, or maybe the best in baseball. I don't know if the Braves had a better record. And now the Braves are down 2-1. They just lost to the Phillies. It's crazy, man. I don't know what it is with baseball and like the randomness of October. I don't know if you like that, the randomness, but it makes for very weird potential World Series matchups.
When it comes to, I mean,
Dodgers are on the brink of elimination as well.
But baseball is like one of the only sports where you could have two random teams in the championship round and people still view it because playoff baseball is a little different. Like if it's Dodgers, Pirates, I don't even know if that could actually happen. People will still, are they in the same conference? Yeah, they're both NL.
Could it
Yeah.
happen? Yeah.
Are the Pirates in the AL? They are.
No, I don't even know where the Pirates are.
Anyway, what I'm saying is you could have random teams, but because of playoff atmosphere, baseball, you'll still get people to tune in. Different than when it's the Bucks versus the Suns. You see what I'm saying? The Denver Nuggets versus the Miami Heat. There's just not, even if you have Nikola Jokic, who's one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best player in the NBA, that's still not enough attention to draw because he's not flashy. But baseball brings the attention no matter who's in there for the World Series. So I will give it to them for when it comes to that sport.
I'm just hoping my my Astros hang on because I had a little future bet on them beginning of the season. They're like about to advance, but the damn Texas Rangers, man, they look real good.
They just need to start banging on trash cans again.
Fact.
Solid burn, man. Solid burn.
All right, what you got for me?
I'm actually going to throw another curveball, no pun intended, but it's not involving baseball. I'm going to give a big shout out to the NHL. A couple of things that I had noticed that I'm probably going to try to start to watch a little bit more if I can. First shout out is to the Pittsburgh Penguins. I believe they have, let me get this right. Evgeny Malkin, I think that's his name. They have not Sagan. What's the kid's name? Sidney Crosby. And there's another player that they have on the team that I'm sorry, I don't have, but they have 3 players that have been on the same team for 18 years. That's dope, right? Like to be able to say that you've played on the same team as like your friends, they got to be friends by now. You know what I'm saying? For almost 20 years. That's like Clay, Steph, and Dre. Like that's awesome. So good for them. Like it's not easy to play 18 seasons of any sport, because you usually get hurt before you do that. Yeah, like some of these dudes, they come into the league 17, 18 years old. Like that's a long time to be playing a very physical sport.
Well, so also to them. They're not making as much as NBA players.
Yeah, it ain't worth it sometimes. You think about it. But like I saw that random stat and I was like, that's dope, man. Like they passed, I think it was Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, and Jorge Posada for like the longest trio tenure in the history of sports. So good for them. And then the second shout out, just because I watched it, I said it pre-show.
WNBA?
What's that?
WNBA?
No. It's stay in hockey. Oh. I'll watch that series tonight though, because that we're probably going to see the Aces go up 2-0. But the Golden Knights, the Vegas Golden Knights, Stanley Cup champions. I got to see one of the dopest ring ceremonies like in the history of sports. If you haven't seen it, like go on social media, go check it out. They brought out like a knight in armor on skates. He like pulled the sword from the stone and then like raised it to like a lottery machine, and like it just like, because they're in Vegas, obviously, it like did the slots, and it was like Stanley Cup, and it was like winner, and then it rose the banner. It's like you were able to fit that your team is the Knights and gambling because you're in Vegas. That's dope. So big shout to the NHL. You gained a bigger fan than me for something like that, and I'll do my best to try to continue watching as much as I can.
I like it. Good show today. Lots of NFL. I'm pumped for next week. Maybe we'll have some guests on. Maybe a little tease. Maybe we'll have some guests on, talk a little NBA futures. We're gonna bring back an oldie but a goodie in the still in the league game with you. I'm excited to see if you have some good roster knowledge of who's in the NBA. So looking forward to that. It's gonna be a busy time in the sports calendar. We have a ton of sports going on, so the show will be good. So check us out. D, you can say all the stuff that I've been hogging it from you. You've been pissed off at me the past couple weeks. So D, get us out of here.
Man, I wanted you to do it just so I could get mad. Let me get upset. That's just the way that I tick. No, appreciate you guys being here again, listening to us live on a Wednesday. Typically, we go live on Tuesday nights. So for those that are watching, I appreciate you being here. Please listen to us on our socials. Hit us up on everything you find us podcast-wise tomorrow morning. That's Apple Podcasts. That's Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. You can hit us up on Facebook. One of these days, we'll create an Instagram. I'm not doing the tiki-taki, but maybe we'll end up on something like that. Also, find us on our website, frizzandthegrizz.com. Put the www in front of it because we're old school. Last but not least, please make sure that y'all take care of y'all take care of y'all mentals. Make sure you take care of y'all physicals. I'm tired, bro. Take care of y'all chicken. Take care of y'all children. And getting old sucks. We'll catch y'all on the rebound.
Peace.
They got a website that you can hire girlfriends for the day.